everybody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
All right, the Rise of Skywalker is finally out, and it has left us with a lot to digest. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. There is definitely a lot to digest. It's a lot there.
Yeah, it's very busy. And I want to start off by saying we aren't holding back. There will be spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it yet, maybe hit that pause button right now and come back later. Just a warning. If you don't care about spoilers, proceed.
Right.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll tell you what, this movie has definitely kicked up some dust in Star Wars fandom.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know what? I see this happening, and I've gotta just kind of like chuckle to myself a little bit because it's there's a lot there. I think we all see what they were doing, and for me, just as a fan of the story, I just kind of smile and nod.
Yeah. It's look, it's what it is. I don't think that any of us thought that this movie was going to come without any, controversy, if it will.
Right.
I mean, there was no way. There was no way. Phantom is pretty much drawn down the middle right now.
Right.
And you're not going to please everybody, even though this movie really did try. It really did try, and that could be a fault of it, of the movie, like trying to please everyone is a tall task.
Right. I think you're right. I think they were definitely setting out to try and make this a banner we could all unite behind, but
I think overall it's kind of working.
Yeah. See, that's my thing is I agree, but I think
a lot of the negativity you see, I think people were going in looking for something to hate in this movie.
Yes.
And I can tell you this, if you go in looking for something to hate, you're going to find it.
Yep.
But if you go in looking for the stuff you want to see, you're probably going to find that too.
Right.
So you're not going to get everything you want. I didn't.
No, by all means. No,
but
this is not a perfect movie.
No. And it's, we talked a lot about how the pacing of this movie was going to shake out with everything we had heard, what they were doing with new characters, this story, that story. It's like, wow, if they try to put all this in here, it's going to feel like a jumbled mess.
Right. Well,
and it kind of did at times.
How many times did we have the discussions of maybe this should be 2 movies, right?
Yeah. And it may have been better served by that.
Right. I mean, that's one of the larger complaints that I heard right off the bat, is that there's a lot there and it feels frantic and it's, but, I don't know, from my initial viewing, I was totally pleased with it. So,
yeah. So we're going to hit on the main points. We're going to save a deeper analysis for another time. We got a lot of things planned for the coming week.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully get some guests on, really dive into the Rise of Skywalker, really dive into the Mandalorian, because that's been kind of shelved right now.
Right.
With all this going on for us, so we want to wrap all that up and really dive into the Rise of Skywalker as well. So there might be 2 episodes coming in quick succession within the next week or so, I think.
I like it.
Because I don't know how we could segue from either the Mandalorian to the Rise of Skywalker or vice versa. I don't know how we could segue in one episode. So we might have to do just 2 and dedicate each episode to the other.
Right.
I think that'll be the best way where we can, focus on one thing at a time and not find ourselves being rushed or anything like that.
Right.
But anywho, back to the Rise of Skywalker. Where do you want to start? Like, we want to hit the main points. I mean, I guess we can start with right off the get-go, the crawl.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Interesting way to come in.
Yes.
Like, the dead speak.
The dead speak. And I got to say, after that statement, there's an exclamation point, and it reminded me right away of episode 3, War, yeah, right? War. So I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. And then so this crawl was very, you could call it generic or mundane, but it did get its point across.
Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to introduce the Emperor.
Right.
I did not expect that they would introduce him in the crawl and we would see him immediately in this film. Agreed. I mean, not immediately, but pretty immediately.
Yeah. I guess with as much as they wanted to say, or as far along as they had to get into the story, doing this, probably saved them 20 minutes worth of movie. You know what I'm saying? Because you would need to kind of show all that if you don't just do it here in the crawl.
And I think that would have felt awkward. Like, you start the movie and you end up with this, like, transmission from the Emperor being heard by everybody.
Right.
I think that would have been awkward. I think that was a good way to introduce that.
Yeah.
Have you heard the transmission?
And I have not.
Oh. Well, that transmission was shared on Fortnite.
Oh. Okay. So
I wish I would have wrote it down. I guess I'll write that down. I'll bring it to our next show. We can really. It's not a lot. It's just Palpatine basically telling everybody the Sith will rise.
Aha. Okay.
So he just kind of says, "Hey, I'm here, and I'm about to rain hell on you."
Nice.
So
yeah, the bad guys like to give a warning, right? That's
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they did like a Fortnite event where they had that transmission shared. Like,
definitely interesting. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So we got Kylo Ren looking for this Wayfinder, and he's definitely going to kill everyone in his way to get it. I gotta say, this here is what I kind of wanted to see out of Kylo Ren in this film, at least initially.
Okay, yeah, right.
I wanted to see him be full bad guy for a while, and he was definitely full bad guy for a little bit.
Right.
He wasn't there to talk. He wanted what he wanted, and he was just going to kill everyone to get it.
Yeah.
Because his obvious intent here was he didn't want to share power with the Emperor.
Right.
He was going there to kill him.
Right. Yeah, he considered himself the biggest bad in the galaxy. So
he didn't become supreme leader to share it.
Right.
So I like that. That's one of those things I would have liked to have seen expanded upon.
Yep.
A little more time spent with that, because it really would have showed his character a little more and where his character was at.
Yeah.
You kind of zip right past that moment by the time he speaks to Rey for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. If he could have been cemented into that, like you said, not a whole lot of talk. Let's just get this crap done, and all evil. It would have made everything that followed in with as far as his character goes, like more profound.
Yeah, it would have showed a different kind of growth.
Yeah.
You know, because with them just zipping by it, it kind of makes him seem like he was in the same place as the last movie with Rey.
Right.
You know? I think that that last interaction between them in The Last Jedi, where you know he's looking at her, and then you know the Falcon closes up and she's gone. I think that was a moment for him where he was like, okay, enough of this.
Right.
You know, she's turned her back on me. I need to do what I need to do.
Yep.
And I think that's where he was in the beginning of this movie.
Right.
So, but like I said, the speed of the film really kind of hid that a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was there.
It was there.
It was there, but you had to really pay attention to it.
Right.
Because they didn't just, this is him. You know, they didn't spell it out.
Right. Exactly.
Then Rey. The first time we see Rey. Rey's grown in power.
Yeah. Yeah. Which there's going to be plenty of people out there saying, yeah, she was very powerful already. How's she grown? Right. But, you know, it's obvious that, you know, she's more
She's finally
powerful.
being trained.
And that's the big thing right there. Yes.
You know, she's being trained by Leia, who we find out in this film was trained by Luke.
Right.
You know, she abandoned that for a different path, but she was definitely being trained by Luke and was no slouch.
Right.
So,
yep. This is one of many nods to the old EU that I caught, that, you know, I'm sure everybody catches them, but
yeah,
they are just something in there. It's not exact. It's not a direct lift from the old EU, but it's a little nod to it that just makes you smile and think, okay, these people doing this, making this film, they are no joke. They know what they're doing, right? So,
well, I mean, and it was one thing that was missing for me too, because in Return of the Jedi, you know, Luke and Leia have an exchange. You know, you have that power, and in time you will be able to use it as I have.
Right.
So he hinted that one day he is going to teach her the ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And through the first two films, we had no clue that even happened.
Right.
With the exception of her, you know, using the Force to get back to safety in The Last Jedi. So we knew she had Force ability, and it was relatively strong. But up until that point, you had no hint at her training. You know?
We knew that she had Force ability.
Well, I meant the strength of her ability, more than just perception and the ability to feel what's happening here or there.
Because apparently, Finn has about the same amount of ability as what we saw out of Leia in Return of the Jedi. So
yeah, got a feeling.
Yeah. So, but yes, it was nice to see that. And I gotta say, that scene was freaking awesome. The technology used there, wow.
Oh, to show young Luke and young Leia,
yes.
they looked good.
They looked really good, gotta say.
So I'm assuming it's the same kind of technology used to do Tarkin and and Leia.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it's gotten better.
Yeah, definitely.
So leave that to ILM. I tell you what.
Yeah.
They are special. Where do you want to go? There's so much to dissect.
I mean, we might as well go with the big one, right? What's been the question from The Force Awakens that everyone's been talking about since they left the theater, The Force Awakens?
Rey's parentage?
Rey's parentage.
Yeah. Let's definitely talk about that. So Rey finds out that she is a Palpatine.
Right.
She is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine.
Right. So,
Thoughts?
my thoughts? I think this goes a long way to explain how she is as powerful as she is. Okay?
Right.
How she instinctively knows how to use the Force in The Force Awakens, right? Because she has no real guidance in that film.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, she might have heard of legends and rumors and all of that. She even says as much, but you know, that only can take you so far without any real training, right? So,
right. I mean, so I don't see that as being a necessity to explain her level of power. I, Anakin, was birthed of the Force, right? And that's why he was so powerful. Palpatine, he wasn't from a strong Force user line as far as we know.
We really don't know.
As far as we know.
Right.
There is nothing that says, oh, Palpatine's from this line, and this is why he is this powerful in the Force.
Right.
No, I don't think you need that lineage to be that powerful. I think the reason they went this route, and the whole reason they went with Rey being a Palpatine, is because this entire conflict, okay, the culmination of what was the Empire and the First Order and all that was all started by a Palpatine and a Skywalker.
Right.
Okay. It seemed fitting that a descendant of a Skywalker and a descendant of a Palpatine bring it to an end.
Okay. Sure.
I think that's the reason they made that choice, not to explain her power. I think her power is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
But I think that was the initial intent.
Which makes sense. It's good. I like that.
I like that explanation more than just, oh, they had to do this to explain how powerful she was. I don't think that's true. They didn't need some lineage to explain why Anakin was that powerful.
Well, I think it's just what you said. Her strength in the Force is a byproduct of them bringing these two families together to wrap up this story. It's for anyone who has a problem with how powerful she is, they can hang their hat on the fact that she is a Palpatine. I mean, it does give it a little credence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think for those who are upset that, someone has to be of a certain lineage in Star Wars to be powerful in the Force, I think you can, in response, hang your hat on the fact that they probably made this to have those two families bring a close to it. They started it, their descendants corrected course and finish it.
Right.
So I think that's the lesson here, that you're not doomed by your family's name.
Right.
To repeat the mistakes.
That's yes.
Of your lineage.
There's always lessons to be taken from Star Wars films, right?
Yep.
And that one right there is just one of many that could be taken from this final film.
Yeah, it's the offspring of Hitler aren't doomed to be Hitler.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, totally. So Palpatine.
Yes.
We got no real explanation as to how he survived, how he made it all these years, how he continued to build up this force and this fleet. How'd you feel about that?
I thought it was over the top, to be honest, especially the size of the fleet. I don't know where okay, let me walk it back. Okay.
Yeah.
My own headcanon here, okay, since it's not explained, is Palpatine was probably recovered by these Sith cultists, these loyalists.
Right.
So his corpse was probably recovered somehow. How the corpse was even intact, I don't know.
Right.
Probably his power in the Force. I mean, who knows? Maybe he didn't die immediately. Perhaps he was able to shield himself from death and shield himself from irreparable harm.
Right.
But still succumbed, you know?
Well,
I think he was absolutely dead.
Okay.
And he was brought back.
Okay.
By these cultists.
That's a possibility.
I think he said as much. He said he was dead.
Okay.
You know, I've died before. You know, like.
Okay.
He said he's not scared of death. He's been dead.
Right.
So, he was able to be brought back.
Okay. So.
Probably at the sacrifice of others. Others probably had to give their lives.
Okay. So we see how that kind of works in this one too.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of healing that goes on, but it does come at a cost.
Yes. And I like that because they didn't say that the ability to save someone from dying wasn't possible by everybody.
Right.
You know, they didn't say it wasn't possible. In a way, they say he figured, you know, Plagueis had figured it out.
Right.
But I'm assuming this means that Plagueis figured it out without him dying himself. Like maybe this is a thing. You can transfer your life energy, you know, to something else, which we've seen in Star Wars before, in the Clone Wars.
Yes.
But it comes at a cost of your own life to resurrect someone else.
Right. Yeah. It's something that was talked about. Definitely. Right. Especially, Palpatine in episode 3, talking to Anakin. You know, it's the most canon place that we've seen it, but, it was on display here, and, you know, I think it works in the context of this movie. So,
all right. So,
Foresight.
you know, we speculated a lot about this dagger. I know we're jumping all over the place, but I guess this is what happens when you do a first reaction. I mean,
right. That's fine.
We don't have the movie in front of us.
Right. That's okay.
So this dagger, we were really assuming it was going to have significant importance to the defeat of the Emperor.
Right.
Which it did, but it had significant importance on just how to get there.
Yeah, it's a map.
It's a map. This is very Indiana Jones, or
well,
you know, the like.
As it turns out, the reference that I thought of right away was Goonies. Just because of the way it worked. You know what I'm saying? You know, you gotta line up your position and looking out over a landscape, and you know, the dagger or the medallion or whatever it is you have, you know, lines up with the landscape, and there you go. It's pointing right at where you got to go. So, which is cool. I like it, but it's definitely a callback to, like you said, Indiana Jones, Goonies, all, you know, the old adventure movies that we used to watch.
Treasure finders.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Cool that they take us back to Endor.
Right.
Or at least, I don't know if this is the forest moon or another moon or what.
Right.
But it's definitely where the wreckage landed.
Yes. Speaking of where the wreckage landed, this is where we meet up with Jannah and her whole crew, which is a totally interesting side plot that I would love to get some of this story. You know, how
this
is a whole squad of stormtroopers who decided no, We don't believe in this order that we're being given, so we're going to stand down.
We're not going to kill innocent people.
Right. That
was combatants is one thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very cool story. Something that could have been elaborated on.
Yes.
If this film was allowed time to breathe.
Yes, totally.
But it did not get that time to breathe.
Right.
This is I wouldn't say major. I guess I could say that. That is my major complaint with this film is none of this stuff gets time to breathe, gets time to be aired out.
Right.
Here's something cool, but we got to move on to the next thing. It's like, wait.
Right.
Wait, you want this story. At least a little more.
Yeah. I mean,
because when we saw Finn before and Finn, decides, no, this is wrong.
Uh-huh.
It made sense. Like, this is going to happen. Brainwashing or not, this is going to happen. You're going to have some of this, and there would have been more of them.
Right.
And the fact that a whole squad decides to do it is, very interesting and definitely deserving of its own story. I'd almost like to see this included in a novel or a comic book or something.
Yeah. Disney Plus series.
Plus series.
Miniseries. 6-8 episodes, something like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. There's a few things in here that deserves its own series.
Oh, absolutely.
Spice Runner Poe.
Right? Yeah. That's so I had one little hang up with that, right?
I think it was a mistake in wording.
Probably. Or just a reference to what Poe's doing right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but, this is where Zori tells Poe, I forget even what the context was, but, he was running with her crew, the same crew as her, until he decided to go join the Resistance as a pilot. But according to Disney canon, Poe was recruited out of the Republic to the Resistance by Leia. So again, that's probably just a wording thing or something, but yeah. Oh well. I can overlook that.
It was definitely the final nail there to show us that Poe is our Han Solo character. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
That is his place in the new trio.
Yes.
Even though he kind of takes Leia's place in that trio in the same sense too, because he is the one that is kind of the leader.
Yeah, but he kind of hands command off.
Yeah.
So, he acknowledges where his real place is, right? And to his credit in the last film, wants to be in a cockpit, blowing stuff up.
Well, here's another thing too. Let's talk about Finn a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And this is some growth out of Finn that I've wanted to see. His days of running really kind of irritated me. Always wanted to run. Always wanted to get away.
Yes.
Not in this one.
Right.
Finn is charging in at pretty much every opportunity.
Yes. Leading the charge.
Yes. His commitment now is very noticeable.
Yep. 100%.
And I was happy to see that. He did not have a a moment of any cowardice in this film.
Right.
You know, the stuff with Chewie being captured, I mean, that was just a calculated decision to not get involved because he would have just been captured himself.
Right.
He's better served by sharing that information and them going to get him.
Yeah.
So
totally.
But yeah, on the Star Destroyer at the end, he charges in on him horseback essentially.
Right.
On top of a Star Destroyer. Which I will say, my initial thoughts on that in the previews and stuff was that seemed absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Looks cool, but seemed ridiculous. Until you see it play out.
Yeah.
Jam their speeders.
Yeah.
They're not on speeders.
They're not on speeders. We can't. Right. So this is also where he is going to, make the ultimate sacrifice here again, and is actually able to follow through, but circumstances allow him to make it. So,
yes,
which was nice.
Yes, to see him, make that choice to make that ultimate sacrifice, and then be able to accomplish the goal and yet live.
Yes,
was awesome.
Yes.
So yeah, good story arc for Finn in this one, and it's about time.
Yeah, agreed. Totally.
It's a character I've definitely wanted to see, get his due.
Yep, for sure. I guess we should touch a little bit on this the final battle type thing, right?
Yes.
Not the space battle or aerial battle, but I guess we can just come right out and say it, right? After lots of circumstance, Kylo becomes Ben again, right?
Yes.
And what do you call it? The being able to communicate with each other.
Yeah. Hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Let's talk real quick about Kylo becoming Ben again.
Okay.
And that whole development, and really the tipping point for him on the wreckage of the Death Star.
Yeah.
Where we get our awesome Harrison Ford cameo.
Right.
So wow, that was probably one of the best kept secrets of the.
It was actually.
Even though it was rumored.
It was rumored. Yeah.
I mean, it was still a pretty good kept secret. And the best part about that whole sequence is he's not communing with Han as a ghost.
Right.
This is a projection of his own mind.
Yes.
This is all from his own mind. And in his mind, he realized that he was always going to be accepted by his parents.
Right.
It was never too late.
Right.
And it's still not too late.
Exactly.
So he was able to essentially walk himself back.
Yeah.
Given the situation.
Yeah. But it does take Leia reaching out to him and
him almost dying.
That allowing Rey to strike a killing blow on him. Yeah. But then she uses the healing power to bring him back. So all of that, those are the circumstances I was talking about.
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on those real fast before we get.
Which it all sounds kind of convoluted talking about it here, but it makes total sense in the context of the movie when you're watching it. So
yeah, that whole development. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Back to the final sequence.
Right. So this it was really cool. Yeah. So Ryan Johnson established this whole ability for Rey and Kylo to communicate across vast reaches of space, right?
Yes.
And that is expanded upon in this film to where they are actually able to like exchange like
Physical objects.
material goods, yeah. Which
was touched upon in The Last Jedi.
right, with the water.
With the water.
Yes. But it actually was a useful tool here to where, you know, the lightsaber and because Kylo's fighting his own battle, Rey's fighting her own battle, basically all before the Emperor, and Rey is able to provide Ben a weapon that way, which was kind of cool. So,
and I will say, like the first moment we saw that was when he, you know, tore that necklace off of her neck.
right.
And when he did that, I was like, whoa,
Oh yeah.
whoa.
Yes.
Like that physical interaction. I mean, in the lightsaber battle they have through that.
Yes. Yes. They clashing lightsabers while in two different places was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this, that when it comes down to where they exchange the lightsaber, so Snoke says, you know, because originally they said, you know, how are we doing this? You know, you don't have the strength for this. This would kill you. You know, all that, right? And Snoke says, I was the one who made this happen for you. Okay. And we come to find out in this film that Snoke was the Emperor, right? Snoke was nothing but a puppet, which, again, that I'm totally cool with. Very happy with the way that played into it. All right.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're able to use this while fighting before the Emperor means they've gone beyond him having to initiate that for them. You know what I'm saying? Because he would never allow that to happen otherwise. So,
Right.
So kind of interesting how that worked. So,
Yeah, the link that was established has not been severed.
correct.
Their own strengths in the Force, which they are both very powerful,
Right.
has been able to maintain that link. Probably at the will of the Force itself,
Yeah.
you know, and the need to strike a balance.
Right.
So yeah, very cool. So yeah, let's get down to the final moments. The defeat of Palpatine.
Yep.
He says, you know, I am all the Sith.
Right.
They are all a part of me. So it made sense for Rey to reach out for the help of all the Jedi of old
Yes.
and ask for their help to
Yes.
bring this epic struggle, this eternal conflict to a conclusion.
That was a scene that I loved it. I mean, you know, what we're looking at is nothing but a starfield, but the audio just made me, you know, cheer.
Yeah.
So,
You know, you got I wish I kept this list nearby. But you had Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, Aayla Secura, Kanan Jarrus, Ahsoka Tano, Mace Windu, you know, and others. There were more.
yes.
All, you know, express their support.
Right.
Join her in this final confrontation.
Right.
Very cool. And I like that we are getting a real solid acknowledgement of those cartoon series.
Right.
The Jedi from them.
Yep.
With Ahsoka and Kanan.
Yep. I mean,
really cements them in the lore.
Absolutely.
In a way that has not happened other than some really quick cameos of starships.
Right. So yeah, definitely cool.
And all voiced by their respective actors. Which,
of course, right? Because with it being just audio, you almost have to, right? I mean, that's how you're going to recognize them. So,
but yeah, the Rise of Skywalker was definitely the rise of the cameo as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons more to get in. Well, before we walk away, we got the final conclusion, which is the Emperor is defeated.
Right.
After throwing Kylo Ren down this, pit.
Right.
But after the Emperor is defeated, Rey collapses.
Yes.
And she is dead.
Yes.
I mean, that was everything from Rey to defeat him. And Kylo comes, crawling back. Obviously not unscathed himself. You get thrown down a pit,
Right, of course, yes.
And before that, you had the life damn near siphoned out of you.
Yep.
So he comes back. He cannot deal with that. That is not acceptable for him. And he brings her back.
Yep.
Returning the favor, essentially. He was going to die, and he was saved.
Yep.
And he returned the favor and saved Rey. Obviously, out of love.
Right.
He loved this person who was his enemy. They shared a bond in the Force.
Right.
So saved her life. We got one of the moments I was not a huge fan of because I could never see why Rey would want anything to do with this this evil person.
Right.
But it happens with him as Ben.
Yep.
Which is much different. And then Ben dies. He had to give up his life to bring her back.
Right.
Which I hate to say it because I know there are a lot of people that are upset about this. They wanted to see him redeemed and they wanted to see a happily ever after. I just look, Yoda said it. There is no coming back from this for good.
Right.
And I think that redemption for someone who has gone that far down the path of the dark side, redemption would be doing something selfless and right in their last act.
Right. I know I've said it before. I'm pretty sure I've said it on this show. If he is redeemed, it needs to be in an act of sacrifice for good. Right? So,
yeah, because even if he's good for a moment, Yoda said it.
Yeah.
Once you start down the dark path, forever, your destiny.
Yes.
It will consume you.
Yep.
So he would be good for a while, but he will go back down that path. It is fate.
Right.
It is his destiny.
Yeah. Not to mention, for anybody who wasn't in the room, right? Nobody would trust him. Nobody in the galaxy, right? Which I would like to allow that statement to segue us into the very last part of the movie.
We keep saying that.
Where Rey says, to the traveler on Tatooine, I'm Rey. And she says, Rey who? Rey Skywalker. She can't, if for no other reason, she can't walk around saying, "Oh, I'm Rey Palpatine."
Yeah.
Oh, Palpatine, really? So
Yeah, because while her fate is not tied to that of her grandfather's, her reputation is.
Exactly. Which, I'm not even going to take it there right now. But for no other reason, she couldn't be known as a Palpatine. That's it. Because that's it. I don't know. I mean, to call herself a Skywalker, okay, whatever. Maybe in her heart that's how she feels, and I'm okay with that. But she certainly couldn't walk around saying, "I'm a Palpatine," because then nobody would trust her. You're just going to try and be another emperor, For someone who's so powerful in the Force, that would be, no one would trust her,
Yeah. Well, I think that'll do it for our initial look. There's so much more to cover. I mean, we didn't cover the battle. We didn't cover Lando.
Oh, I know. We have a long way to go here. We're going to dive in deep.
Yes. I mean, we just talked for, almost 50 minutes now, and there is still probably hours of coverage to go over this.
There certainly is.
And we will definitely be back to do so. But if you have anything to add, anything you'd like us to talk about, anything that, really struck you in this film, good or bad, share it with us. Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. But you can also reach out to us on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter. Facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Final thoughts this week, Doug. Overall, about the film.
Okay, so final thoughts. I loved it. Okay, I think this was it was an amazing film for where we were in the arc of the Skywalker saga. Okay, to wrap it up. Yes, it was scatterbrained at times, I guess you could call it, right? It had to move along really quick, but I think it did a really good job in wrapping everything up. I'm content. I'm satisfied with the ending. Like I said before, is it perfect? No, but it's an excellent film as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. It was a little clunky because of how busy it was, but all in all, it hit the points that it needed to hit, and it brought this portion of the saga to a close. But it didn't bring our conversations to a close. So, of course, we will talk next week.